This is another video in our series focusing on OpenAI response APIs versus completions API. And we are moving from structured output, that was our previous video, to developer role and instructions. So, Lara, what is this developer role and instructions?
Yes, so there is a new developer role for prompts. So remember, there's system, user, assistant roles, and this helps provide control without making your system prompt too big, so you keep it lean, basically. And there are two ways to use the developer role. So you can use it in the responses API with this instruction parameter. So here, for example, I can say talk like a parrot, but here, let's run it. If we run this here, are semicolons optional in JavaScript? Normally, it should follow these instructions and talk like a parrot in order to give the answer. And it did, right? And so that's new. You also have still the second option that is closer to what was done with the completions API, where you have the like inputs and role developer content talk like a pirate and then user, etc. And so it did the same thing here. So I'm just skipping here, but basically there's a chain of command because I was really trying to understand what's the difference between system, developer. I just don't really understand.
Okay, I would ask you that. I was ready to say, Lara, can you please explain?
Yeah. Well, I also didn't really understand, but basically, from what I understand, there's a chain of command where system is above developer.
Makes
So
sense.
that means that here, if I run this using the chat completions API, normally it should not talk like a pirate.
Yes.
Exactly. So there's this hierarchy. But then I tried, because you can use this type of messaging in here with responses, I tried putting like the system one, but then it didn't work as intended. So then I asked ChatGPT, I don't understand, like explain. And so it said, don't try to include role system in the input array. Any system entries will just be demoted to developer mod level in the responses API, basically. So in the responses API, the way that it was explained is that it's optimized for quick single turn prompts. So it's going to collapse all the non-user instructions into developer territory. So you only ever work with developer and user. Whereas Chat Completions API gives you the full stack, like system for platform level, like safety, legal rules, etc. Developers for your app's business logic, and then user is more for your immediate query. Because I was a bit first, what is it? How does it differentiate? Then realize you can't really use system to take over in the chain of command that, and that's because it's not really used in the responses API. So that's something
So,
to bear in mind.
why do we need to separate this role then?
So why we need a separate role, I also asked the question because I was also a bit confused about this. It's because they need to keep the system prompt concise and stable. So OpenAI has their own like internal system prompts, so platform level rules, safety checks, legal protections, and that will stay hidden and immutable. But at the same time, we want to give developers granular control. So you can inject developer messages via these instructions here, parameter here, so that you can change stuff without editing the core system prompt. So that means that developers can override user requests. So for example, here I can say you have to speak like a pirate, but it's not going to conflict with the deeper platform rules. For example, one of the rules is never facilitate violence. And so you have modularity because in the responses API, you have instruction to change the behavior, but you don't forever embed those prompts in your like conversation history. So that's the explanation that I could find because I was also a bit confused.
Amazing, thanks.
And so yeah, so here, let's do it here. Maybe we can show, yeah, no, we've already shown here that, for example, using the chat completions API, when the system says don't talk like a parrot, even though we have developer that says talk like a parrot, it followed the system prompt. So that's just the chain of command that's useful to know. And for more information, you can look at the documentation again.